All right, y'all. How's everybody doing on this Friday afternoon? This is gonna be a good one. We're gonna be talking about all things e-commerce. Got a special friend with me. Let me bring him to the stage real quick. Gamal, how's it going?
What's good? What's good? Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you. Yes. Yes. How's
Uh,
your week been going?
Blessed, man. I just had my second daughter. So that comes with its challenges of sleep, but it's a miracle each time. Um, and just understanding the journey and seeing someone right in your arms. So it's a blessing, man. It's a reminder that every day is a good day.
Oh yeah, congratulations again. Congratulations
Thank you,
on that.
sir.
That's big. That's big. So I know you're probably running on fumes right now, most likely, with sleep and everything.
And coffee.
Coffee. Yep. Yep. I already know. I already know. But yeah, thanks for coming on. I know you got your hands full with work, with life, but I think this is definitely an important conversation that we need to have. We've been having a lot of these conversations behind the scenes, so it just makes sense to really bring it out to the public and really talk about it on a bigger scale or whatnot. But yeah, for those of y'all who are watching right now, make sure you type replay so that we know once this is over, if you weren't able to catch it live, that you were watching and we can respond to your comments or whatnot. But yeah, Gamal, talk about yourself, man. Where you're from, like your background and everything.
Yeah, my quick story is I'm Jamaican. I was born in Jamaica. Where are you from, by the way?
Nigeria. Yeah,
Nigeria. Okay,
grew up
so
here in the U.S., but Nigerian heritage or whatnot.
yeah,
Yeah.
I came over. So immigrant family. I came over when I was like 4 or 5, and was always entrepreneurial. The dude like selling candy in middle school, selling burnt CDs in high school, flipping sneakers, stuff like that. Started a cool company in college that was like early social media. We made our people in college build social media or build logins, and we then created a team to go and take pictures at all the local parties, events, bars. Because when I got to Florida State, I started college at 16. I was a bit of a nerd, but then
Wow.
I was also a cool nerd. So it's not like I went to Harvard or something like that. I just went to a local college. But I got my AA before I graduated, before 18, and I transferred to Florida State. And my number one requirement was that I was gonna have fun because I gave up sports and varsity basketball. So I was like a balanced nerd, and so
Yeah.
I kind of overswung to having fun.
Yeah.
And my first week at Florida State, man, I was like, I don't know what to do. There's so many events, and my FOMO kicked in. So we sent people out to go take pictures, and we had tens of thousands of people sign up to be a part of our site. We had over like 180,000 unique visits in a month, very shortly. So that kind of set the stage for me to get into digital marketing, and I spent some time in private equity in my corporate, like lower middle market private equity, essentially how people flip cars and homes. I learned how to flip businesses, look, acquire, strategically build up the value of the company, not just the revenue, and then sell it to someone else, rinse and repeat. And that kind of culmination of just like early social media, getting into Facebook ads in 2014, and then my understanding of building and selling businesses, I thought e-commerce was perfect for me to get into as an operator. So like 2016, we started a brand and it went really well. We scaled it to 90K. Sorry, we scaled it to 60K a month within 90 days. And then we scaled that to multi seven figures and it got acquired in 4 years. And so now I kind of package all of my experience, and I serve 6 and 7 figure e-commerce brands as a coach, helping them attract their ideal customers, convert and build consistency, and understand how to master their money as a CEO.
I love that. So you have a lot of experience, obviously, on the, product side, but now you're coaching. Like, how is that transition?
It's tough, man. It's tough and great. So I always used to hear the folks who, because I've raised like money from investors, banks, private equity, et cetera. I raised over like $15 million through various business ventures. And they always said, we bet on the jockey, not the horse. And I never understood it. Never understood it because I was, I guess, in retrospect, I was always a decent jockey. But now that you coach, you see people who have great ideas, but bad execution. You have people
Mm.
with bad products and ideas, great execution, and you start to see like the bigger picture of what's happening across industries, across product types. And it's a blessed feeling because I get to impact so many people. We've had about 550 people go through our trainings, but through my partnerships with like Shopify and Amazon, where they partner with us to educate their communities, I've coached over 10,000 people and we've helped make dozens of people into multi-million dollar brands. So that part is truly a blessing, and I do love that. The part that I don't like is people who don't take accountability, people who blame others for their problems or their shortcomings, and it almost feels like a waste of time where I could have been doing this on my own and gotten way better impact and reward from it. And so it's just like trying to find the balance and keeping my energy high when I'm working with people who are taking the experience and the opportunity for granted. But it balances out by working with people who are executors and appreciate it and go on and like build the business of their dreams.
No, that's good. I think coaching in general, man, it's a lot of that. You have people that execute, then you have the ones that are kind of, you know, anxious or whatnot, and kind of just sit with all the information that's given. And I know e-commerce that's a different beast. It's a different bonanza. Like every day you wake up and you eat what you kill. It's not necessarily recurring unless you set up a recurring revenue system. But if you don't have that, then literally every day you wake up, you don't necessarily know what you're going to make. And it's the wild, wild west. So I can understand, both sides for sure.
And that is that's part of the philosophy that we teach. We just being in kind of private equity, you understand the constraints of problems businesses have. And so the real unique thing that I have about this is I take like a backwards approach, where like, okay, what's the most desirable business someone could build that investors and acquirers would like be drooling over to get? What makes that business so desirable and so unique? And then we just intentionally built that into our business. That's why when we sold in 4 years, we had over 200 people interested in buying our business, and we had a half a dozen offers in a week. And we closed in 28 days because we had like backwards thinking into all of this. We reverse engineered it. And a big problem with risk in general is concentration. So having
Yeah.
too much of your revenue from one channel, too much of your revenue from one product, too much of your revenue from first time customers. And so we reverse engineer that to the program that we create, where a big part of that is having membership and subscription, where 40 to 60% of your revenue is from repeat customers, where you have multiple channels and where you have 3 to 5 products that can stand alone on themselves. So you diversify your risk.
No, that's good. And we're definitely gonna get into that. Because as you know, obviously we work with a lot of e-commerce brands, Shopify brands specifically. And we've seen a lot in these past 5 to 6 years. We've seen it go up just extremely, and then we've seen some go down. And there's still a lot of businesses thriving during this time, contrary to popular belief. There's still a lot of people that are going upward. And I think, managing your money is extremely important with that, right? But also a lot of things that you said as well, such as diversification of the money that's coming in, right? Are you all 100% concentrated on Facebook ads? Are you 100% concentrated on retail in the stores? Because as we see right now, if you are 100% concentrated in a certain area, you could potentially get really, really damaged if something was to happen, right? If now all of a sudden the stores say, we no longer want your brand because it's not selling enough, now where do you turn, right? So really having that diversified way of marketing and getting your clientele is extremely important.
100%. Early on in my kind of entrepreneur coaching community space, a lot of folks came to me for marketing advice because that's what I managed about $3 million in paid ads over the career of my kind of 10 years in business. And so a lot of people want to learn that because founders think they just need ads. And I started teaching them that, and I did a good job. One of our best clients, we helped them go from they're called Support Black College. Not our best clients, but one of our fastest growth stories is Support Black Colleges. They were doing about 40K a month organically. I taught them ads, and a month later, they hit 80K a month in their for Black Friday. And 12 months later, they did $1 million, largely from just focusing on digital marketing.
Yeah.
The problem, though, is I didn't teach them about cash flow, money, margins, supply chain, all the CEO mastery stuff. I knew this because of my experience in private equity, and I just kind of assumed everyone knew this. And what happened is about 5 months after that Black Friday, it almost killed their business because they oversold, they didn't have the inventory, they took on the MCA loans. And when you have such a spike in sales, they take 17% of that, even though it's a 1-day event. And so when your sales normalize back, that thing ate up all your cash flow, right?
Yeah.
And so they started a downward spiral. And I started noticing that in our industry a lot, especially with founders who are like us, who don't necessarily qualify for other sorts of capital or are not knowledgeable on how to go obtain that capital. And so I thought it was negligent for me to just only be talking about growth without understanding how money management and margins and all these other things you just talked about, sales strategy, revenue strategy, is essential to sustainable growth. And also the thing we should talk about too is how we should change our focus from revenue to profit, because I see that's a big trap that a lot of people fall into.
Oh yeah, we're definitely gonna get into that. I think that's when we first had our first initial calls, getting to know each other, I think we connected along those lines because I meet so many coaches in general, right, that don't really necessarily focus on the money piece, the accounting piece, and in the background, I'm like, wait, why are we only talking about marketing and sales? Like, there's another lever to this or whatever, right? Like, if you don't manage the money properly, if you don't necessarily know how much inventory to buy, if you don't really focus on your profit, the metrics that matter, your business isn't going to go in the direction that you want it to go. And I think we've seen in the past, VC firms were like, you know what, don't worry about the profit, just focus on growing your revenue. Now everything has changed where the VC firms are now saying, we want to see profitability and stuff. And it's like, we were preaching that whole profitability thing from the beginning, just because as accountants, that's just kind of how we're wired, right? Like, you're making all this revenue, but what do you have to show for it? And it's like, now the VCs are saying that, and now everyone is kind of getting on track with that. So we're definitely going to discuss that for sure. With your clients, inventory, right? That's a big deal. How is it with them? Like, do they know how much inventory to order? Do they have you ever seen situations where they've bought too much inventory and they've had to kind of sit on it and discount it and sell it? Like, what are some of your experiences with that?
Yeah, well, I would say prior to becoming a client, they have that issue. They should no longer have that issue after graduating the program. But
Right.
I would say with e-commerce, of the four-ish pitfalls, I won't say them in order and all at once. This is definitely one of the main ones, is to not understand how to forecast inventory. Many people think because they see bigger brands have a ton of inventory in stock, that the key to scaling is launching new products. And that is actually the key to failing e-commerce, because what typically happens is the majority of your revenue is going to come from 3 to 5 products. And I know this because a good friend of mine co-founded this small little company in Atlanta out of his kitchen, and it turned into a big company by the name of Honeypot. They were doing about $120 million, and half of their revenue came from that one product. So if Honeypot can make $50-60 million from one product, and we're trying to build $1 million business, surely we could come up with 100 to 200K product if we focus on making the product superior and different. And so I see people scale wide too fast, and what ends up happening is they make bad bets where they may overinvest in inventory, either because they just sold out for Black Friday and they don't want to sell out again, so they buy way more than they need, or they don't understand that e-commerce is in a cycle, and so they buy when sales are high, not knowing that summer is going to be low, and so now they're cash strapped. And the problem, though, is a lot of people actually don't discount it, because the wrongful thinking is, oh man, I have $50,000 of inventory in hand. Now I'm strapped for cash because I overbought. I don't want to sell at a discount because I'm trying to keep all my margins. And so they ended up making the problem worse, because, and truthfully, if you discount your margin and get back your cash, you'd be in a much better place in trying to maximize your margin on that bad product or that slow moving product and not making any money. And so they end up having 80% profit margins on a thing that doesn't sell versus having 60% margins of 100K a month. So it's just backwards thinking.
Let's really get into that too, because if you're pricing your product properly, right? Let's say you buy a product for $1 and you sell it $3, $4. If you now are selling it for $4, but you discounted it $3, you're still making profit, right? But like you said, a lot of times we will buy inventory and we'll kind of sit on it because it's like, oh no, that's going to bring down the value of my company. But in my head, I'm just looking at it from a standpoint of, okay, I bought product that isn't really moving. That doesn't mean I'm necessarily discounting everything else, but the products that aren't really moving, I need that cash in as soon as possible, right? Because it's all about as quickly as you buy something, how quickly can you sell it, right? So that
What?
inventory
Yep.
turnover is extreme, right? So if you're buying something in January 1st and you don't sell it to July 17th, what's really happening? How can you shrink that time frame, right? That's the name of the game. It's a cash game.
Yeah, I'm a numbers nerd, so let's get into that a little bit too, because I know that you definitely are more of a nerd on it than I am. But without graphs and charts, let's try to keep it high level so people can follow along. The main problem I talked about one is like mismanagement of inventory, and that's largely because most people are coming to me and they're like, "Hey, I need 100 grand in cash. What are you going to do with the cash? We're going to buy inventory, do this, do that. Have you ever needed cash before? Yes, 3, 4 times before. Have you ever stopped to think, why do you keep coming back to this problem? Like, are you really fixing the problem or are you just kicking the can down the road?" And it's like an aha moment. And when we go through inventory, surely enough, they have over 100 grand worth of inventory, unsold inventory sitting in their warehouse. One person I spoke with had about $1 million worth of stuff, but they were a premium brand. And so they didn't want to discount it because they didn't want to dilute the value of her brand, like you were just saying. And so the solution to that is different. We'll come back to that another time. The problem though is in e-commerce is a negative cash conversion cycle business. What I mean by that is, in order to make revenue in the future, you have to front money now. And
Mm-hmm.
so the reason why it's a problem, and the reason why I think the only end goal for e-commerce should be selling, is because if I take 100 grand and buy inventory, then I could then sell for 400 grand in 6 months. Well, if I make the purchase order now, get it from China in 3 months, I bought 3 months worth of inventory, so it's going to take me another 3 months to sell through it. So by the time I get to 100 grand, in theory, I should make 400, but it's going to take me 6 months to do it. So I'm only turning that money twice. So all of my cash is always tied up in inventory.
Yep.
So it's a much better idea to try to get that turned down to 3 months, even if it's at a discount, because then I could flip that 100 grand 4 times throughout the year. So the faster you could turn over that flip, even if it's from 100 to 300, you're going to be able to run your business more efficiently off that 100 grand. So the problem people have is when they take too long to flip that inventory, then they keep needing more and more money as their company grows. So it's like a belief shift in that the problem isn't that you need to keep all your margins to grow. The problem is that you need to turn over the inventory faster, because the more times you'll be able to do that, and you'll be able to build a bigger business with the same amount of capital. So you end up having a business where you can do 400 grand for the year if you hold on to the margins, versus if you flipped it multiple times, you'd have a $1.2 million business, right? But then let's say your margins on the $1.2 million is 25% because you discounted it. You're in a much better place doing that than keeping 30% margins on a business you can only flip the inventory once. So it's a bit of a mindset shift onto like, what does success look like as you're building your business? And you can't really focus on just revenue. You have to think of the totality of profit and cash in the back of my account.
That's great. This is good. The data is so important. If you're not looking at your data, like, how do you know what decisions to make, right? And how do you even know all of this? But like Gamal said, we're numbers nerds or whatever. So this is exciting because this is the essence of business. If you don't understand the numbers, how can you really scale and grow? There's a few comments that came on the Instagram. I see Miss Goddess Body says CEO mastery is vital. Hit the nail on the head. And then Quentin Lewis of Urban and Eden said, I fell for the revenue trap. We all do. We all do in the beginning specifically. So it's definitely not an uncommon thing, right? But I think as we go on in business and we learn more, and we really like focus on these numbers and we focus on the data, and when you have an accountant that you're meeting with, hopefully you're meeting with your accountant if you have an e-commerce or any business, like they're going through all these things and you're understanding these things better, and now you're able to make better decisions. And I think one of the things that we focused on too, that we talked about just now, Gamal, is that we look at inventory as like the biggest asset, but your cash, to be honest, is possibly bigger, if not as on the same level as inventory, right? Because in e-com or in retail, you need that cash to really, really grow significantly. And if you're not managing the money properly and reinvesting it, then now your only options are you either have to take money from your bank or from friends and family or from the bank if you're able to get a loan from the bank. And if not, guess what's left? These Shopify, PayPal, merchant cash advance loans. And I'm not afraid to name them, right? We got PayPal, you got AFig, you got Yellowstone. I've seen so many take down so many businesses, right? Because it's instant gratification. I mean, obviously, well, not I only going to say instant gratification, but a lot of times we take the money because we truly need it. But in ecom, when you're down to your last $500, that money that's coming to you, you might look at it like, oh my God, they gave me a lifeline. But then as soon as they give it to you, they're taking that payment daily, every single day or every single week. And now the cash flow of your business is really being hit even more. So I'm sure you have some, you talked about an MCA story, but I'm sure you have so many more stories around that you can touch on. Have you had any other experiences that you want to share?
Yeah, you're so spot on. Kind of like the 3 orders of priority for me, contrary to what's popular on LLC Twitter, is revenue, which everyone talks about, profit, which very few people talk about, but then really cash flow, and that's the king that no one talks about. So you're spot on with that. That's the primary driver of what happens with this business, because you need cash to like keep the business up. The other thing is, as we were talking about these MCO loans, if you understand why you have the problem, you'll see how bad these loans are. It's because, as I just mentioned, you're fronting all this money now you're pretty much gambling every time. It's like a Ponzi scheme. You're taking what you're doing now and gambling that you're going to be able to do it in 6 months. So what these MCA loans do is, instead of having a flat amount or even a higher percentage rate, what they do is take a percentage of sales, oftentimes 17%. You got to think, why 17%? That's such a weird number. Well, it's because the average e-commerce brand has about a 20% profit margin, right? So what that means is if you do 100 grand in revenue, by the time you take out product, warehouse, employees, subscriptions, all ads, all that stuff, you're left with 20K. They take out just enough per day to where they know you're going to have it, but you're only left with enough to just barely survive and die. So you're dependent on them. So what happens is most people have this and they're solving the wrong problem. So they're like, damn, or man, sorry about that. They're like, man, this loan is keeping me hostage. I need to double my business. I want to go to 200 grand. Not realizing that you're still going to be left with 20% left over. And you're still going to take out 17%. So you can't outscale this problem. That's the problem with these MCA loans. Whereas another thing that has like a flat rescheduled payment, let's say you took something else and your repayment schedule was about $10,000, which would be 10% of your revenue. Well, if you double your business to 200 grand, now you have more margin because your payback terms is still a flat $10,000. So when I start talking about it like that to people, they start realizing how unsexy it is, and how trapped they are. And so the real only way to get out of the MCA loans, because it is prison, is really to increase your profit percentage so that you're not left with 20% anymore. You're more left with 30, so you can have some more breathing room. So grow revenue, but also reduce expenses or grow profit margins. And then also just refinance it with a better loan, a credit card, a SBA loan, grants, anything just to pay it off, because that is literally a last resort. Unless like some of my clients take it, but it's calculated. Like they know they're going to go on Good Morning America and do 100 grand. And so they'll take a 50K loan because that's what's available. get the inventory in, and then be able to pay it off within a week.
No, that's good. And you know, I was going to touch on that too. If you're well capitalized already and you have some momentum where, you know, you have people that the demand is just high for your product and you already have money in the bank, yeah, go ahead and take, so Yellowstone and those MCAs, I'm not a fan, but I'm okay if you do take a Shopify loan, right? Because I've seen situations where it's helped to accelerate. But I'm also really a bigger proponent on, let's play the long game. Let's set ourselves up to where we can go to the banks and get line of credits and get loans for much, much cheaper. And the payback is better because now they're taking a payment once a month, right? So if I'm
Yep.
a bank and I'm giving you a loan, then I don't necessarily need that money back immediately. You can pay me back over a year or two or whatnot, you
Yep.
know?
Yep. Here's another example of that. So we have a lot of people who that's the biggest problem. So we're sitting on old inventory that been in their warehouse for 6 months. I'm cash poor, revenue is straight. I have a product people want, I can't keep it in stock, and we have this other stuff no one wants. And I messed around and took a couple of these loans, so I'm tight. It feels like I'm in prison, right? I'm handcuffed. So real life example, we had someone that was paying about $16,000 a month in like MCA loans, right? They're right around like 150K a month. So that's what kind of that amounts to. And we refinance them. We have a lot of resources in the group. So we have a funding partner that was able to look at their books and qualify them for traditional money. And they got $216,000 with a $4,000 a month monthly payment. So they freed up like 12 grand in profit. So they were able to breathe a little bit, right? They were able to pay themselves a little bit more and feel less stressed every day. The other thing that is interesting to understand that most founders don't realize is that another reason this is bad is because let's say understanding that cash conversion cycle again. So let's say you drop 100 grand to buy some new inventory in China, and you take this loan, right? What happens is it's going to take you 90 days to get the money or to get the product in. And then you bought 3 months supply. So it's going to take you until month 4 to actually start selling the product. But when you take these loans, they start taking that 17% out tomorrow, next week.
Immediately. Yep.
So in theory, in business, if I buy 100 grand worth of product, I could flip it for 400 grand. But the reality is that doesn't happen until month 4. So you're really just going in the negative immediately until you break even by month 4. A lot of people don't understand that as well. And a lot of the reason why is because they don't have metrics to look at. They don't understand what metrics to look at to make an informed decision. And they don't have a financial partner like you to be able to help them look at the numbers and translate it from Chinese into plain English.
Yeah. This is good. My wife actually sent me a question to ask you.
Oh
Yeah.
God. Now I got
Yeah.
the hard questions now. Okay.
No, she just wanted to get your opinion on the tariffs and everything that's been going on. You know, how does that impact e-commerce or whatnot?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think e-commerce in general, and specifically founders who sell to African American consumers, are at a great risk for having some issues with this. Largely because I think they're going to be significantly impacted. What I mean by that is right now, let's say most people are getting some sort of their product from China. Whether it's a physical product, we got our boxes, we got our labels, glass bottles, etc. And the interesting thing is, you may not think you're getting it from China because you're getting it local, but I guarantee you that local vendor is getting it from overseas. And we've all had that where we're in like crunch time and they ship us a package to make up for last time and they forgot to repackage the containers and you see the Chinese labels on them, right?
Yeah.
So it's like a pass-through economics. If we are having to pay 10-20% more to get the product, we are going to get stuck with that increase. It's not like they are going to take an L, right? And how do I know that? Because we see that everywhere, right? Look at the cost of eggs. Look at the cost of any vehicles. Look at the cost of anything at the grocery store. The manufacturers aren't solely eating that expense. They're passing it on to the consumers, right? And so this is especially going to happen because it's not like one vendor is only going to raise their prices. It's like everything coming from that market is going to be increased. So why would anyone take on the brunt of that if the market's generally going to adjust? So that's one. Our we as brand owners, we're gonna feel that pain, and it's gonna force us to raise our prices, potentially raising, uh, negatively impacting the relationship we have with our consumers. And then on top of that, because we're all selling to the same people, it could be the person who's buying the course or the person who's buying other products. We're all selling our products to the same consumer base, and so our consumers are all out of nowhere going to feel the cost of everything that they're buying shift. And so what's going to happen there, I believe, is they may start seeing less of a value in supporting small businesses, and they may become more commodity price driven, where instead of buying, I know Quentin, instead of buying a soap or a skincare product from these Black-owned business owners that are at a quality and premium pricing that they have to wait a week to get there, they may start looking at Walmart now and just regular general off the shelf products as an alternative. So I think we are going to be negatively impacted by that a lot.
No, that's good. It's good to know. It's good to know, and it's like, well, it's here in front of us, so it's time to prepare, right? Like, you can't do anything about it now. All you can do is pretty much have a plan of attack. And I think everybody should take some time to sit down just one day and just think, like, for the whole day, just journal out what's the worst thing that could happen if these things impact my business, and how can I counteract that? And that's what I tend to do. I tend to make a list of all the fears, all the things that I feel like could happen, and then I come up with a plan for each of those. So now if it does happen, I already have something that I can lean on, and I'm not necessarily reacting or whatnot. But business is business. Like, it's always going to be something, right? It's always going to be something that kind of shakes the table, unfortunately.
Yep. A good principle to start thinking about is like first and second order consequences, and just thinking about, all right, here's the immediate reaction. What is the delayed reaction looking like? And to be thinking about solving that problem and not just the knee-jerk reaction that we're looking at now. What I mean by that is, okay, all I just really said is people are going to be more price conscious. What can we do to make our products or our consumers become more value conscious, right? Instead of thinking about dropping prices, can I bundle something together, or can I make the perceived value increase of something so that my net margins are the same, right? So this is a strategy that we take with the person who doesn't want to put a 40% discount on their product because it's been sitting in the warehouse. We have something called a warehouse strategy, where we essentially say, okay, well, attach this low discounted margin product, like 60% off product, in a bundle with something that is full price, but collectively they're more valuable. And what we found in this strategy, where we do have people who are like aggressively discounting certain products, because they position the experience as like a value opportunity, that consumer comes in there and actually spends more than they typically would because they start buying up a bunch of things. And so shifting the consumer's mind to be more value oriented, like, hey, this is on discount, or yeah, this product is a little bit we're losing more money on this product now. But if we add it to something else, we can get the consumer to spend more with us, and we win because we get more money from it, and they win because they get more out of the transaction.
Yeah, that's really good. And I think that could be something even for service-based businesses, right? Like, what's the value that you're providing? Why should someone come to you versus going to somebody else, right? Product and service. What are you doing to stand out? Like, if you're like, let's say you're someone that does bookkeeping, people are now looking for advisory. Can you give advisory? Can you help me grow my business? And if you're like saying, no, I'm just going to be stuck, I'm only going to do the books, then you might, your clients will end up outgrowing you. So that's I like the bundle option that you put together, right? Because it's like, okay, what else can we do to make the value, the experience better and the value more pronounced? So that's really good.
Here's another one for your audience too. We have like a series of about a dozen quick wins. So when someone joins our program, our coaching program, we analyze their business, look for opportunities to quickly make their investment back. If you make your investment back in 30 days, we're good because it's like paying for itself. And so we have these series of like quick win activities. And when people are having these problems of my margin's tight, I don't feel like raising my prices because I'm concerned that there's going to be pushback. We create value in other places, and a big opportunity to like get back that increase. Let's say your products go up $2. A great place to do it is by priority shipping. That was a
Mm.
thing that worked amazingly well for us and brought $5,000 to $10,000 of profit per month just in this one little thing for us. And so what it is let's say you sell hair, and with hair you charge $5 for shipping. What could typically happen is people want to have that product faster, or they want the perceived value of a VIP experience. And so we simply just create a upgraded shipping option, which is VIP or priority handling, and also product insurance, right? Refunds at our refunds are exchanged, no questions asked, which is usually the things that we're doing anyways, but we're just not specifically calling it out. And so we just look at their current shipping policies and specifically highlight something and place it in like a VIP positioning. And we charge $3 more for it. So regular shipping is 5. VIP with this priority handling and insurance could be 8. And what we're seeing is like 60 to 70% of all purchases are going to take that priority option. And so
Mm.
just overnight, let's say you're doing 1,000 orders a month, and you have 700 people take this product, you're at $3 a pop. Just overnight, you've made back the deficit in the increase in tariffs. And so there's a lot of ways to like solve the problem if you have someone in your corner to talk through solutions that may be working in other places that you don't really you don't know what you don't know. And so the benefit of being in like a community with other founders, or even having a coach who's looked at this problem hundreds of times, they have solutions that have come up hundreds of times. So that's one quick way that people dealing with this issue could take 10 minutes out of their day and like offset the increase right away.
No, that's good. If you are someone in ecom, or even if you're not in ecom and you're watching this and you're not sharing this with someone, you're being selfish, because there's a lot of gems that Gamal just dropped right now that people need to know. So I think that's really good. So I was recently in Atlanta. I went to the Traffic Sales and Profit Game Plan Conference in Alpharetta, and they wanted me to speak during Lunch and Learn about like what are some things that people that are making multiple 6 figures can do to get to 7 figures in revenue. And one of the things that I talked about was focusing on one business, because a lot of us have more than one business, but also focusing on selling less things, right? I know you mentioned that earlier, right? Like there's a lot of people in ecom that you have like 50 to 100 SKUs, and you're only making about 200,000 in revenue. And they don't even realize that that's throwing them off. Like, what are my main things that I can focus on and really push my energy behind that? And then once I get to that 7-figure level, let me start to open it up. Like, and I know you spoke about that earlier. Can you talk more about the whole focus on less SKUs?
Yeah, so there's this thing called the 5 ones. It's one target market, person, pain, promise. Who am I going to be meaningful to? What pain do they have, and how can my product improve their life? Person, pain, promise. So one target market, one product, one conversion funnel, one traffic source for a year. You'll be good. That's it.
Mm.
With ecom, it's a little varied. I would say one target market, 3 to 5 products, one conversion channel, one traffic source, 1 year. How do I know that? Because in 2023, one of our students only did like $76,000 in their brand. Last year in 2024, I invested in that brand, acquired equity, and they did 872
Yeah.
in their first financial year of business. The only reason they didn't hit $1 million is because they sold out a product 4 times. They lost some of their sales channels. They kept losing their TikTok account. And it was one target market, 2 products, 1 conversion tool, 2 traffic sources, and that's it.
Yeah. Powerful.
Very possible. Very
Yeah.
possible. I see it all the time.
It's powerful, man. I think the power of shifting your focus to less things will like open up the doors for you to even accelerate more. So that's good. That's good. And
You
I've
know,
seen
it's
that somewhere too. Go ahead.
yeah, I didn't make that up. It's something that, all this information is regurgitated. So
Yeah.
I didn't make that up. I've seen it somewhere from a book or something like that. It was just so simple. I like simplicity.
Yeah.
The other thing is our entrepreneur's mind is so wired to want to chase shiny objects. Oftentimes, when I'm coaching people, it's not that I'm telling them to do more. I'm helping them figure out the reason people are doing more because they're not sure of what's working. And
Mm,
so the power of what I do largely is I think I'm a master at simplifying. There were a couple of clients
it's so
on the
simple.
call earlier in the chat. If you agree or disagree, please drop it in the comments so you can call me out if I'm making this up. But the power of what we do is really take a look at all the million things that you're doing and help you realize that the results you're getting is really only coming from these. And instead of and realizing that you didn't max out the potential of those things, and here's ways to do this more efficiently so you could do that, you could get that outcome more times. One of the cool examples in my own life is that when our brand was doing maybe $1,000 a day, I was running small ads, like $400 a day in ads. And I had this bid cap on. So I'd have a budget of like $1,000 a day, but I would say, hey, Facebook, only get me a conversion if it costs $17. And I
Mm,
was cool with that. One day for my wife's birthday, hopefully she's not listening to this. I was rushing because I wasn't supposed to be working. And I launched at $1,500 a day budget, and I forgot to hit that bid cap button. The following morning, after partying, drinking too much, having a headache, I just kept hearing my phone ring. And I looked, and Facebook had charged me, I believe I had like a $500 charge. Thank you for your $500 payment, like 2 to 3 or 4 times. I lost my mind. I woke up. I spent like about $2,000, but I made like $5,000.
mm.
This whole time, instead of trying to look for new traffic sources, new this, new that, affiliate marketing, the whole thing, all I need to do is add a zero to my budget.
Yeah.
And so from that day on, I never spent less than $1,000 to $1,500 a day in a budget for my ads. And it was a really simple lesson that the whole time, the thing I needed to do to 3x my business was right in front of me. I was just afraid to do it. And I
Yeah.
didn't see it clearly because I kept thinking what I needed to do to 3x my business was launch in Amazon or take on a new channel or learn something different. So I share that lesson with a lot of the founders, and oftentimes the solution to doubling their business, they already have it.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's really, really good. It's so many things that we can talk about. I know one of the biggest things that I've been pushing, that I've always pushed for years, but especially this year, cash reserves, right? Like making sure that you have at least at minimum 2 to 3 months of cash. And I like to calculate it by, how much are you spending on labor and business expenses each month? Whatever that number is, now you multiply that by 2 to 3, and that's the number that you should shoot for, that you want to put aside, right? Like, how important do you think that is when it comes to e-commerce?
It's going to be, and I have a question back to you because I've
Yeah.
always thought about this. That's essential, man, because as you mentioned, it's a negative cash conversion cycle. And so cash
Mhm.
is king. And the other thing that happens that a lot of founders don't realize, like my whole job is like pointing out things that you may not have realized,
Mm.
right? So that you're not being blindsided by these issues. You really only have about 9 months of the year to make money. So
Mm.
like if you have $1 million goal for your brand, it's not like each month you just make $84,000. What happens is like December you make 2 to 3 times, or November you make like 2 to 3 times the amount that you would. Then January sucks because everyone just bought stuff for Christmas, and then summer sucks because they're traveling and they don't have as much discretionary income. So you really have 9 months throughout the year to make money. And so what you just said, why that's so important, is because your expenses are flat. So your rent, your subscription, your software, your employees, they don't care if you made 150K this month or
Yeah.
50K this month. Your bills are still 100 grand, right? And so having some cash reserves are great because when things are up, you don't think you need them. And when things are down, the problem we make emotional decisions. And when things are down in that month where we're making less than our expenses, we start cutting things that are working, and we sacrifice the long-term thinking of the growth of our business to serve like this 30-day period. And so if you have cash reserves, you're able to continue to make good decisions for the long-term growth of your business, even if you have 1 or 2 temporary bad months. So that's why that's important.
Yeah, just the anxiety that goes away when you have some money put aside, I think is extremely important. And you can utilize that not just even in your business, but in your personal life, right? Like if you're a Dave,
100%.
yeah, if you're a Dave Ramsey person, you've heard of emergency funds, all those things. The same type of concept, like how much money can I put to the side? I know a lot of people are like, well, if I put it to the side, then I'm not going to be able to, it's just going to be sitting there. I'm not going to use it to make more money. But you want to get to that point where you get to that 2 to 3 months, and that doesn't mean keep putting more money into it. You stop at that 2 to 3, and now the additional money that you're making in your business can be money that you can reinvest, that you can use to grow, that you can use to, do bigger things. But when you look at all the large companies, Apple, for example, trillions of dollars just sitting,
Hmm.
right? Like that they're going to use for R&D, or they're going to just use to make sure that they're good. So it's like every successful entrepreneur, even the ones that are 8 figures, 9 figures, have cash reserves.
Hold on, real quick. Let me
Mhm.
turn up my light.
But yeah, no, this is good. I think this is powerful. There's a lot of good information for those of y'all. I can't really see the comments. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
know
I
if
just
you can
pull,
see
I
them
pulled
on
them up on
Instagram.
my phone.
You pull them
Yeah,
up. Can you see it? What
yeah.
are you seeing on Instagram?
Da, 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 da. Paula, one of the dope founders who just joined maybe less than 30 days ago, she said Gamal has literally helped me to slow down to go fast. Um, and she's got a dope story. I think she's already doubled her daily revenue under 30 days. Paula, correct me if I'm wrong. And then also Miss Goddess Body, another founder who recently started a dope 6-figure brand, scaling to 7 figures fast. She's an implementer. Remember we talked about working with people who we love? She's one of
Yeah.
them. Super, super implementer. She's probably week 3 or 4 in the program too, joined at the top of the year. And she's crushing it. So they're just giving me and you some kind words.
Nice. If either of them want to come on, I'm more than willing to bring them on to talk. But yeah, no, that's
Yeah,
that's
that'd be
good.
dope.
Yeah, yeah. It's good, man. It's good to see, like, there's so many success stories. I know a lot of times as coaches or financial people, we focus on the ones that aren't the most successful, but when we forget about the ones that are really taking what you're giving them and just flying, right? And there's a ton of those or whatnot. And you want the best for everybody. But I think sometimes when people come to you, they may not just be ready. It might not be their mind may not be there yet. Right. Because I've had situations, I'm sure, like you, where people have come and then they've left and then they've come back later on, and it's a totally different experience, right? Because they know more and they've experienced more. So
100%.
yeah.
Um, while they figure out if they want to join or send a request, I got a question for you
Hmm.
about profit first, cash reserves, all that stuff, right? So, in theory, in a perfect world, you would have money and you would take a percentage of some for sales, percentage for yourself, etc. But oftentimes, building a business, especially in the early stage or whenever now, you may not have, you may be like negative, or you may not have, you may be break even, right? How do you build the reserves, or how do you set money aside for taxes or whatever when you need every dollar coming in right now to satisfy expenses? Like, and if you can't do it now, like what's the 6 month strategy, the 1 year strategy to get to a place that you can? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So even though I do implement profit first, I don't always take distributions, right? Like, because as I'm looking at my business, I'm like, you know what? The money that I'm making in it, instead of me distributing it to myself, if I reinvest it, I get a larger return just in investing more in the business versus investing it in the market or in real estate or something like that, right? So I don't always take it, but for those that are just starting out, um, I'm real big on, you may, especially in ecom, it may not make sense to take it out. It might make more sense to reinvest it into things like marketing or inventory or things that's going to help you to grow. And if it's not working out for you, then that means that there might be some opportunities for you to look at the data. How am I pricing? Am I pricing in a good way? Are my ads working right? Am I measuring the return on ad spend, the ROAS? You know, because there's times where we spend money on advertising and it may not be getting us the biggest return that we need. What are the other areas of marketing that I'm doing, and am I measuring that to see, you know, what the return on it is? Um, Even deeper, what's my inventory turnover? Right? If I buy inventory, you know, you got, like you said earlier, it has to come to you from wherever you bought it from, and then it sits on your shelf until you sell it. Right? So when you look at the whole picture of that, what is the inventory time frame that's turning over or whatnot, right? So I think really looking at those areas, there's opportunities for people to really focus in. So it may not make sense potentially for them to take the money out at that moment until they've built a really decent nest egg, in my opinion.
That makes sense. And then what? Sometimes we get founders where, like, you know, they're in the Shopify. Oh, by the way, Paula said she could jump on real quickly.
Okay.
How does she join, or how do
Yeah.
you? I don't know if you can request her.
Yeah. You can send her that link that I sent you,
Okay.
and I can resend it to you. Yeah,
Yeah,
I just resent it.
okay, cool. I'll text it to you, Paula. Can they join from their cell phones?
Hmm.
Okay, cool.
For sure. Well, yeah. What was the question? You were saying something before
Oh
before you.
yeah. Yep. So for people who are like, let's say they're cash tight right now, and they know they need to be taking percentage off, let's set aside for taxes, or percentage to set aside for future investment, but their expenses are just so high right now, right? They're
Mhm.
not out of the profit, because you know ecom has fixed expenses, and so warehouse and everything is 50 grand. You need to be making 60 grand a month to like be
Yeah.
north of it. So let's say you're just at 45, 50 grand a month. How do you think, like, what's a strategy to get to a place where you can
Yeah.
be doing what you should be doing? Should you be aggressively cutting? Should you,
Yeah.
like, what are your thoughts on that?
Great question. So what I would do and what we do with our clients is, you know, Profit First gives you the different percentages that you need to transfer. But 9 times out of 10, when people come in, they're not ready to transfer those percentages. So we got some work to do. So instead of not doing any transfers, what we'll say is, you know what, we'll transfer 1% to profit instead of 5 to 10%, like it's telling you. So that way we're getting into the rhythm of transferring money to the accounting. We're watching it accumulate. And at the same time as we're doing that, now we're working on our expenses. What are things that we're spending on that aren't really giving us a return? You know, and that's everything. What software is what sandwich? If you're buying a sandwich and it's not giving you a return on health, like we need to cut it. We need to replace it. And I'm not saying that we should cut all of our expenses. I'm more along the lines of replacing the expenses with something that's going to generate revenue, right? So now we're not in the scarcity mindset of, oh, I don't want to spend. You know, we want to definitely spend, but it needs to make sense for the business. You know, so
That's
the
good.
answer to yeah. So really scaling back and saying, you know what, I'm going to do that 1%. And I see Paula's in the waiting room.
Let's go.
You bring her up real quick.
Hey,
What's
Hello,
up,
Paula.
boss?
what's up?
How's it going?
It's going good. It's going good.
Nice
Just
to meet
done in
you.
the warehouse.
Oh, you at work? I see you.
Yeah, yeah. Yup, baby was down. Like, let me get to work.
Oh, you got it. How old is your baby?
Oh, he is about to be 6 months.
Oh, that's amazing. I
I
see you.
followed right behind her and re-signed up for this job.
Yeah,
It
literally.
might it might be a sign for me and mine to, you know, make our third.
There you go.
Yeah,
There you
yeah.
go.
It's that season for sure.
She
If
just
I'm not
said,
gonna
"Don't you even
sleep,
think
I need.
about it."
Right, right.
No, but
Okay.
Paula, thanks for coming on. I want to definitely talk to you. How long have you been doing the e-commerce thing?
Ooh, I have been in e-commerce for 7 years now. 7 years,
Yeah.
yes, and we are nearing on $2 million in revenue. I just recently, like I just said, had a baby, so a lot of traction just got away from me, and so I hit up one of my business resources, and they connected me with Gamal, and so I have been working with
Mhm.
him. I would say going on 2 months, maybe a month and a half, and just to help get that traction back, get back in the moves of things. And it's been working. It's been working.
I love that. I was gonna ask you about that, and you beat me to it.
Yeah.
That's good. So I mean, before you were working with him, I'm assuming there's obviously a big difference that you're seeing, just from an
Mhm.
information standpoint and an implementation standpoint or whatnot. What are some of the things, or at least one thing that y'all have worked on and said, you know what, this is what we should be focused on?
Yeah. So being 7 years in business, I have accumulated a lot of reviews, a lot of before and afters, and my website was cool, but I was like, Gamal, I need your eyes on my website. Because, as an entrepreneur, you don't have that many people you could talk to that really knows the in and outs of business. And he was okay, cool. Let me go look at it. So he looked at it and he was just like, what are you doing? Like, you have so much social proof all over your social media and your reviews, from customers. And he was like, you need to social proof your page. And at this time, like I mentioned, I took a step back because I just had a baby, maternity leave and everything. So at that point, I wasn't really running ads. So my conversion rate also dropped. And so he's like, social proof your website. So I social proofed the website, and I would say like our conversion rate like almost doubled basically by just putting like reviews and before and afters like in plain view for people to see. So I mean that was honestly that's the biggest thing that has helped. And then like he mentioned earlier on the live, not doing too much like all that busy work, like, oh, I got to do Amazon or I got to do this. No, focus on like what's already working. So I doubled down on my Facebook ads based off of our conversation with that, and that has helped as well.
I love
We
that.
Ephraim, we have this phrase that we're gonna help you make more while working less. And it sounds cliche, but literally that's the goal for everybody, right?
Hmm.
Because what she's talking about is some of those quick wins that I talked about. Like we want to get you out the gate, like paying for our work. So it's like an investment ROI so like the question of is this worth it? Like we take care of that in month one. So like everything else is just like optimizing. And so that's one of the things we recognize. Okay, well, instead of working harder on new channels to find twice the amount of people, what if we could just get more of the people who already check out your stuff to convert? So every day, instead of getting 10 orders, what if you got 20 orders from the same amount of effort? And so that's what we prioritize, optimizing her conversions. So like just in that thing, in theory, if nothing else changes, you've doubled your business already just by keeping everything the same. That's crazy.
It's extremely crazy. And I think, for a lot of us, whenever you are in business, you're going through the motions of work and business, that there's things that you are telling yourself, I should have seen that, but this person saw it, right? That's why a coach like Gamal in general is important to bring in, because they can see things that you may not be seeing or noticing that can literally exponentially grow your business. So I love that.
Yeah.
Like that claim sounds wild, like you double your business in 30 days, but it's in fact like you have doubled the amount of orders that you can see per day by not making you do more. Because the other thing with you is you were doing a lot. You're like super mom, super wife, super husband, or not husband, super business owner, and you were doing way too much. And so part of the thing that we wanted to get for you is to get you to a place where you could actually stop and think and go into the parts of the things that you're great at, your superpowers, which is creative content, connecting with your community, instead of just doing busy work to feel busy. And so I don't know the answer. This is like off the rip, but have you got to the place yet where you feel like you're more productive per day, or you're even working less per day now, or working on the right things?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. I'm definitely more productive. Definitely working on the right things and not being so busy, like you said. I just posted a reel on my personal page, and I basically was talking about how I have been enjoying doing dishes. Like, I have time back. Like, people be like, oh, I don't want to do housework, but I'm over here like I'm washing dishes because that mean like I have time. Like I'm not stressed. I'm not like busy downstairs getting orders out or trying to figure out like what to do next to make the next dollar. Like it has been super helpful just to gain clarity. And I know a lot of people think, oh well, sales isn't necessarily the problem for me. But it's like having a coach like Gamal, they do so much more because not only do they help you with the sales, but they also just help you learn how not to be so busy and consumed with the hustle and bustle and like enjoy life again.
Yeah,
I love
that's
that for you.
Yeah.
that's really, really good. 'Cause I think, like you said, you do get consumed with like just the business side of things, and you're constantly going, you're constantly doing. Then you look up, it's like I've been in business 7 years now. You know, like where did the time go?
Okay.
You know?
The time flies. And then you don't remember anything at all because you live in survival mode.
Yeah.
Not only are you trying to, run your business and enjoy your family, but now your mind is just in survival mode. Like people ask me questions all the time and I'm like, I really just don't remember, because now the anxiety and all the other, mental things that come with being an entrepreneur, it just takes over. It's like you live in a mask. So I'm happy to be outside of that mask now. The memory is on 100.
I love that. I love it.
Yep.
But shout out to you though, because I can teach you how to do a sit-up properly, but you got to do the work, right? And so we could only go so much. Like I could help you make the sit-up more effective, show you how to do it without hurting yourself, so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, you got to get down there and do the work. And so shout out to you for implementing so quickly.
Yes. Thank y'all so much. I enjoyed being on here with y'all, and I will stay tuned in. I'm about to go grab the baby.
Love
All
it.
right.
I love it. Nice meeting you.
You too. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
That's
No,
what's
it's
up.
good, bro. Yeah, no,
Hey man, you gotta send me this recording, man. It's got me a nice little testimonial.
I got you for sure. I'm gonna send it to you. Definitely. We gotta do more of these for sure in the future.
100%. And on the flip side too, part of what I have been busy doing, I invested into a coaching program, and because I want the reach of what we're doing to expand. I want to get 100 Paulas, right? People who have dope
Mhm.
businesses, great products. What she didn't say is the person who connected us is an executive at a 9-figure e-commerce brand.
Hmm.
They personally use her product, and they were like, "Look, we got to connect." As this founder, this indie brand owner, they're great. Been using their products for 2 years. She reached out. She needs some support in getting past this current like roadblock in the business.
Hmm.
And so she's well connected with the right person. And I was telling her, look, if someone at this level believes in your product as much to like personally use it and then personally vouch for you and like connect the dots for you, like you are way bigger than you're thinking about yourself, right?
Most
So
definitely.
like take off the small hat and like this is the boss up phase. Like your brand is dope. You got
Hmm.
thousands of reviews. Like where are these reviews at? Like
Right.
people need to know that you like your products are amazing. And so part of the thing too is just like if I can just help people who have great products see their real potential, right? That it's been there the whole time. That the reviews didn't come out of nowhere. Like it's been there just hiding. And just
Yeah.
have people like walk into their true potential and have like 100 Paulas, 100 Angelas. Like that's what I'm looking on that's what I'm working on this year. So we're making changes to the program, adding resources to the program, and making it so that everyone can have that experience at scale. And so part of my ask for you is I would
Hmm.
love for you to also, as we build up this community and we go from more one-to-one to large group, I would love to have you and your expertise in the group too, like helping support them with like financials, P&Ls, cash
Hmm.
flow, all the things that you know, like the back of your hand.
Let me know. I'm ready. I'm ready to help out for sure. I love that. Bro, this is good. Tell everybody where they can find you if they already don't know.
You can find me at Gamal Codner on Instagram, Codner.co online, but we're building out our program. It's called ECommerce Blueprint. So at some point in the next couple of weeks, the domain will go live. But Gamal Codner on Instagram is the best place to find me. And just DM me, let me know, hey, I need some help growing. If you watch this and you have a 6 or 7 figure brand, you have good products, and you know that you have a lot more potential that you're just currently not hitting, just let me know that you came from this live, and I'll take care of you and give you access to like the pricing and the program structure that we're setting to launch in the next couple of days. But even if you're not ready for that, and you just want a 15-minute just call to just, hey, I just need some quick wins, I'm happy to do that too. So hit me on DM on Instagram. and that's where you can find me.
That's good. That's good.
Jance, who's another dope coach, an ecom coach, she says, let's talk about this setup. It looks so good. So Jance stuff is popping. So Jance says this is a good setup. This is a good setup. So shout out to you.
Man, we got to do a three. Like Jance needs to be on this too, with all three of us just bouncing all these ecom things off of our heads. I could see that going really crazy. And then at some point doing it in person too. That for sure.
We have a once a year in-person mastermind. So I'm gonna talk to you about pulling up to that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Let me know. Definitely interested.
It's intimate, like 12, 15, 20 ecom founders, all at 6 or 7 figures. We take 2 days and just kind of pour into each other. That's really dope.
Nice. Yeah, I'm definitely interested. This has been good. For those of y'all who are on here that are a part of Gamal's following, I am founder and managing director of EFS Group PLLC, where we help our clients manage their money so that they can scale their business with confidence. So we're an accounting firm and a fractional CFO firm. So we have a deep knowledge in e-commerce. We work with a lot of e-com brands, a lot of notable brands that you guys may or may not know of. So we have the experience. If you guys need us, let us know. I'm willing to do, a financial statement consultation to let you know how your business is performing and what are the areas of opportunity from a money perspective. So definitely reach out. Man, I appreciate you going on for coming on. We definitely got to do this again. If not this month, next month for sure.
Let's do it, bro. I'm down to doing every month. Let's get Jance on one too.
Jance
is one of my favorite ecom people.
Did she respond? Is she saying that she's interested? I hope.
Yep, she said get her down to the next one. So we'll set.
Oh yeah. It's about to go crazy. All right. Well, I appreciate everyone for coming on. Until next time.